Hello and welcome back to Bowtie Certified. This is episode 14. And here at Bowtie Certified, we follow the journey. Well, actually, I follow the journey of others with their certifications and their learning and how it gave them great benefits along their journey. My name is Anthony Tsavelis. I am your host. I am a technical instructor and course creator in Google Cloud. And so if you're looking for training or certification, please feel free to reach out because it's my jam. And so today I have a guest all the way from Romania. This is Traian Ciobanu. Thank you, Traian, for coming on the show.
Thank you, Anthony, for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So a little bit of backstory. Traian and I, we don't actually we know of each other because we hang out in Tech Study Slack. For those of you who don't know, that is a Slack channel that my friend Adrian Cantrell had started about a little over a year ago. And it's about 16,000 people, and everyone's technical. Well, a lot of people are. And we talk about certifications. We talk about different tools that we use and random stuff as well, because we like to have fun too.
Yeah, virtual happy hours.
Exactly. So I met Traian and he is very technical, very good at what he does. And he was telling me a little bit about his story and I was really intrigued. So here we are. And so, yeah, I guess we can just kick it off right now. And Traian, tell us, what were you doing before diving into the tech industry and what made you decide that this was your path?
Well, Anthony, I think I've always been in the tech industry because my father has a technical background.
Okay.
He was an aviation engineer in Soviet Union. So I was all the time hanging out at the factory because we were living not far from the factory.
Okay.
From that comes my second passion, the aircrafts and
Nice.
the passion for flying. Then I think it was in high school when I met some of the guys that were already like building computers from scratch,
Okay.
and we used to break things, then fix them. Then they started teaching programming
Okay.
in high school, and that got me interested when I got a few options from my friends and members of my family to start using the computer on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. And I think when I discovered the internet, it was still the era of dial-up.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we used
I
to
remember those days.
hang out on IRC channels all night, and then I think before finishing high school, I got a night job in a cyber cafe, which
Okay.
was like, okay, I don't want any money, I just want to have computer access.
For those of
And
you who don't know what a cyber cafe is, back in the day before everyone could afford a computer, they used to have these cafes where you could rent a computer for, by the hour. So basically you'd sit down, somebody would log you in, and you'd have access to a computer for however many hours you wanted to pay for.
yeah, so and during the night shifts there, I started reading articles, searching forums. We had a popular Russian magazine here called Hacker.
Okay.
So we were publishing different articles on Linux stuff, on security stuff, and it was very interesting. I think somewhere even at my mom's place there is still a book that I found in some shop was like hacking with Linux or something. It was like in Russian. So
Wow.
yeah. And then after I finished high school, my mom had a different plan for me a little bit, and I got into college on studying psychology.
Okay.
Um, and it was nice. I liked it because I like interacting with people a lot. And but I think by the end of the first semester, I found out that okay, this is not what I want to do.
Okay.
Um, yeah, funny story actually. Before applying to the high school, before college in psychology, I actually wanted to become a priest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I used to go to Sunday school
Yep.
in at church, and so to apply to the seminary,
Mm-hmm.
you needed like a recommendation from the priest in the church you were attending.
Okay.
So and I went, and he said, "Look, I know that you are technical. Everyone here says that you are doing stuff with computers, so maybe this is not for you, so maybe you should do something else." As so I dropped out after the first semester,
Okay.
and I got a job at a newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
I was partially doing network administration and taking care of the computers there, and partially was doing like the design in CorelDRAW. And
Oh, wow. Corel Draw.
yeah, so and this was like my first big job that like I had responsibilities of managing the computers, and then the guys decided to connect to the internet in the office. We
Mm-hmm.
got a SHDSL line, which was very expensive. It was like a couple of $100 per month for like a
Wow.
256 KB channel.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, and I had to figure out how to how to make to build the router and everything in the office, to shape the traffic. And after a couple of months, like half a year, uh, I found out that there is like a Linux user group here in Chisinau, where I lived that time in Moldova.
Okay.
So I found about the guys had a forum. I joined the forum. Then I went to a couple of offlines of user group of the Linux user group here,
Okay.
and one of the guys there actually opened a company. They were doing remote administration of hosting providers and stuff. So I joined as a junior there, and I think the job there changed my entire career because I learned a lot. I learned most of my Linux knowledge there,
Mm-hmm.
and that actually jump started my career.
Nice.
Uh, and by this day, I'm thankful. I worked with one of the guys in my previous company, and it's I'm grateful and thankful.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so after that, I had a lot of jobs. And I was getting bored of stuff very quickly, so I changed the jobs every 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I think by pure like luck, I joined a company called 13 Elements,
Okay.
and I worked for them like for a lot of time.
Mhm.
It's like 3 years. Then I had, I think, 1 year of pause in which I worked for a big governmental project.
Okay.
And then I joined them back in a more senior position, but I stayed not so much. And because I was offered a managing position in a startup, so I was
Okay.
like team leader of operations. And the guy who was head of operations actually introduced me to everything which is called DevOps.
Yes.
And I don't know, Vitaly, if you are looking at this, thank you. It changed my life. So I found out about Docker. I found out about Terraform, Ansible, most of the tools which are very popular now.
Yes.
They were like just in the beginning that time. But if it wasn't for this, I would not have been a DevOps. Maybe I would have been stuck in a network administration job or something.
So, Traian, tell me more about your cybersecurity background.
So I used to work for a company which does offensive cybersecurity.
Okay.
Uh, Unfortunately, because of company customers and background, I can't say the name of a company.
That's fine.
Yeah, and it was amazing. I found a lot about security. I got a lot of. Actually, I was because of my love of psychology and speaking with people. I already knew about like social engineering,
Mm,
but
yeah.
working with the guys there, I found much more, and it was amazing. I can say that I was very happy at the end of the year when we had our annual gatherings, when I heard success stories of terrorist attacks being stopped because of the tools we provided,
Oh, that's
or
great.
I don't know, people that were into child pornography being caught.
Wow.
So it was an amazing experience.
Hmm.
I got to know a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm very happy that I worked with with the guys. I learned a lot, and now I know how to protect myself from
Hmm.
offensive attacks that are like designed to steal my money or steal my super private information.
Right. Yeah. I know you can't talk too much about your job, your previous job, and a lot of people in the cybersecurity industry, they typically can't talk about their job, and so I completely understand where you're coming from. Um, so I guess needless to say, you've learned along the way. You've learned Linux, you learned security, and now you're a DevOps engineer. So how did all of these components, if you will, help you understand your job better, and how did it allow you to grow as a good DevOps engineer?
Well, coming from a operational background, I and having previously had a couple of networking certification, I started to understand the operations part, the infrastructure part, and when it came to the moment of making infrastructure as code and starting automating stuff, it
Mhm.
was easy for me to understand the things.
Got it.
Although I discovered, I think 4 years ago, well, when I first heard the term DevOps, I heard it in a conference,
Yeah.
and the person who explained it to us, it's an amazing guy. He is one of the founders of continuous delivery and continuous integration movement.
Mm-hmm.
And I understood from the start that this is not something technical, but this is a culture.
Yes.
And I you can see my bookshelf, but I have all the like the free books that are definitely the defining of the DevOps. I have Phoenix Project, DevOps Handbook, Unicorn Project, and I always try to reread them at least once a year, so
Nice.
I can speak easily with team members. And nowadays, I've started learning a little bit of development just to understand the development part so better. And I'm very lucky that I have colleagues that come from a development background and moved into operations, and we can understand each other and have like the true culture of DevOps in the company.
Yeah, it's amazing when you get that true DevOps culture, because it really changes your world. I know I've experienced it myself, and I'm sure anyone who has been in a true DevOps culture can attest to that. I actually have a question from one of the somebody in the audience, and they asked, "How can we protect ourselves better?"
First of all, like try to understand if people that interact with you are legit or they're scammers. Try to get as much information. For example, if you get a suspicious email, even if it contains the name of your best friend, try to look at the headers. If it says urgent, I need money, or I don't know, something happened to me, it's most of the time it will be a scam.
Right.
And obviously, most important thing, don't use like weak passwords. Try to have multi-factor authentication. Even today I read a story about a famous politician here which got his Instagram hacked, and
Wow.
by the means that I understood, his password was his name and 1234.
I laugh because it's such a common thing. I hear this all the time. Password 1234, 123456, admin.
Yeah,
The list goes on. If you have a weak password, it's gonna get hacked. That's just the bottom line.
I think when I joined my previous company in which we had the cybersecurity, I think one of the first trainings that we had was like to use password generators and use a password manager and never have a shared password anywhere. So if you believe me, I don't even know what is my email password.
I believe you.
I use a password manager in a combination with a two-factor authentication, and even now, I think I'll switch from a phone-based authenticator to a YubiKey or something. And whenever I hear, like, I used to have a bank account in a bank in Moldova, and the guy used the hardware key, and everyone was complaining, but I said, no, this is the most secure thing.
Yes, agreed.
So
Yeah, I tell people all the time, even if your password isn't as good as it should be, at least using two-factor authentication will give you some sort of protection against people trying to get into your account, or people trying to steal your sensitive information.
yeah. And one other thing is maybe like, which I see, especially uh, in the last year, people complaining about the social networks, having a lot of power, but people, you are putting that information online yourself.
I know. I know. I have many Google Homes, and so I understand the risk that I'm taking when I use these Google Homes. And same thing with social media. But
Yeah.
people don't understand, when you're on Facebook and you're giving away your data,
Yeah.
from leaving WhatsApp is not going to change anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
And
know if a lot of people have heard, but WhatsApp has created a new user agreement where they can now share your data with Facebook. Well, guess what? WhatsApp has been owned by Facebook for a long time, and you're already putting your data up on Facebook anyways. So
yeah.
there you go.
Yes. Yes. It's 100% true.
Yeah.
So, I think most of the stuff that some people put on their Instagram or on their Facebook can be used. Like, I've seen people putting their boarding passes on Facebook. Like,
What?
uh, yeah, like, I don't know. I have an Instagram account. It's
Yeah.
not very popular, but and you saw how hard it was for me to find a photo of myself that looks good.
We have a follow-up question from the same user, I believe. Must we move to Linux for having more security?
No, it's not necessary. You can be secure with any operating system if you just follow some simple guidelines, like have a good, for example, antivirus. No, a lot of people say that, okay, I have an antivirus. What antivirus? You have a free Avast or a free Avira? It's not an antivirus. I think last year there was I seen an article where Avast or Avira, or I don't remember what antivirus, which had a free version, was actually sending user data somewhere
Wow.
for commercial purposes, like showing ads.
Wow.
So
But yeah, I guess just make sure that you're using a good antivirus, that you don't use weak passwords, use two-factor authentication whenever you can, and
I I own a. I think I have a credit card for the last, I don't know, 10 years, maybe more or maybe less. I've never had a single case of my card being tried for scamming or extraction of money somewhere in Bangladesh or Peru or Argentina. Though I heard cases from people I know, from people in the tech industry, that they got their cards schemed and money stolen. So I follow like a couple of rules. I check the ATM machine. I always cover the PIN pad.
yes,
I don't use my card on suspicious websites. How much attractive offer is, I've seen people, like, I know, sending me like links and say, hey, look, this is a site that has an offer for an iPhone 10 for $200. And I say,
are you
like,
crazy?
are you crazy? Like, why someone should sell you an iPhone for $200? They're just trying to get your money stolen.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I think in the whole history of like me being an administrator and an engineer, I've had one time in a company that I worked getting hit by a ransomware attack. And happily, I had a fresh backup.
Yes.
And unhappily, I had to have a discussion with all the people in the company and explain them, because after a little bit of investigation, I found out that the company secretary received some email, decided to click a link, and although we had antiviruses and good ones, and we had the paid subscription, uh, bad people always try to outsmart good people, and it happens. And it happens in big houses, and it happened. I've heard cases that it happened in big cybersecurity companies, unfortunately, and banks. And
Yeah, it happens all the time. And all we can do is protect ourselves as much as we can.
yeah, I ran a cybersecurity, I think, like exercise
Mm-hmm.
long ago, and people are tempted. I pretended that I forgot or dropped a flash drive, a fancy-looking flash drive somewhere in a office of a company,
Mm-hmm.
and actually it was a coordinated like attack. We are trying to discover some weaknesses,
Yeah.
and someone inserted the flash drive in a company issued laptop. We got a message, but if it was a real attack, they could have got all the information stolen
Mm-hmm.
or encrypted and asked for a big ransom.
I see. I do have some more questions from the audience, but I did want to touch on your cloud journey. Tell us more about your cloud journey and your journey through DevOps.
Yeah, so on my last job, uh, I used to have free time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, mainly in the evenings because I was not at home. So I stayed like the last 3 years. I lived in hotels everywhere around the world. So uh, when I came from the customers, I used to have a lot of free time.
Mm-hmm.
So I already had some experience with AWS in my previous jobs, and like not only AWS, Jenkins, like CloudFormation,
Right.
but uh, because I was doing something different for a long period,
Mm-hmm.
I started to forget some stuff. I remembered the basics. I knew like about EC2 and load balancers and VPCs. I forgot, for example, CloudFormation because I didn't use to write CloudFormation scripts a lot for a lot of time. And I started watching courses on a cloud guru for some time, but then someone, I think, pointed to me out to Linux Academy.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a subscription. I've did a refresh on AWS with Adrian's course on Linux Academy,
Yeah.
um, and I was preparing for the certification when one of my ex-colleagues and now a current colleague um, said that, look, we have a job opening in with AWS knowledge. So I decided to take the interview, and the fact that I was like preparing for the certification in that moment helped me a lot to pass the interview, because I was having like the fresh knowledge,
Yeah.
and so I joined the current company,
Mm-hmm.
and I've started to work a lot with AWS. I think, except big data technologies,
Right.
I've worked with Lambda, API Gateway,
Right.
ECS, and so like mid of September, I said, okay, it's time to get certified. And I was already uh, watching the new course from Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
So and I said, okay, let's try and pass the cloud formation exam. So I think I watched a small course on uh, a cloud practitioner
Yeah.
on the Plural side.
Okay.
For like it was a weekend, and I had a voucher and I scheduled the exam for Monday, and I passed.
Right.
So I said, okay, yeah, cloud practitioner is nice, but it's just an entry level certification. So I continued the Adrian's course, and I took like a 2-week vacation in which I did only studying for 8 hours a day. And at the end of those 2 weeks, I think it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I did the practice exams on Tutorial Dojo.
Yep.
And also, I relooked at the videos and spoke with Adrian on Slack regarding topics that I didn't understand. And my most weak spot was the NoSQL databases.
Mm-hmm.
But after speaking with Adrian, rewatching the videos, and reading some white papers, I sat the exam on Monday.
Okay.
And I passed.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah,
So you knew where you were lacking, and you basically just went back and
exactly,
refreshed. Got it.
exactly. So I took a little bit of vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, vacation meant I dived back into the work projects.
Yes.
So uh, I said, and in another month, I said, okay, I use Terraform at work every day. And HashiCorp just released their certification. And I
Mm-hmm.
say, why not try it? I already had a nice book called Terraform Up and Running.
Right.
So I looked through it. I took a course on Udemy
Mm-hmm.
by TJ Adams. And I also bought a couple of practice exams. And on I like to schedule my exams on Monday. I don't know for why, but I think if I pass at the beginning of a week, I will have a great week.
That sounds logical to me.
Yeah. So I set the exam next Monday after 1 week of preparing,
Mm-hmm.
and I passed. And I actually passed. Uh, I was like, I had a worse score on the practice exams.
Right.
So it was nice, and also learning towards the certification.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think straightened a bit my Terraform skills and got me to know some things that I didn't know. Um, so and right now I'm preparing for the AWS Developer Associate certification, and it's nice because I already used some of the products specified in the certification,
Right.
so I can improve my knowledge, and I also know from a practical standpoint on the stuff that I am learning.
Nice, nice. So you're basically just it looks like to me that you got the certification bug, where you keep on learning, and then you're like, oh, let me see if I can do the certification, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, I want to learn more.
Yeah, it's something similar, and I think I was like a couple of weeks ago. I spoke to someone, like someone asked me to speak with a student
Mm-hmm.
in a university. So he was like preparing. He needed to do an interview for his university about people in technology and what got them motivated. And one of the question was like, okay, are you motivated by the high salary in the tech industry? And I said to him, look, if you don't have like the spark inside yourself,
Yes.
you can learn a lot, but that learning is just not going to grow inside you
Hmm.
because you have to have enthusiasm towards
Yeah.
the technology. Because if you try, okay, if you do it only for the money, you will not succeed. Most of the people that I know have that spark, that enthusiasm toward technology
Hmm.
that makes them so successful.
Well said. Well said, Traian. Um, I do want to answer a question that was in the audience or from the audience. Somebody had asked, what do you see in the future of security?
Uh, I believe we will have more attacks on, especially on people trying to get more personal data of people. And also, we already have a lot of ransomware attacks, which try to make people pay ransoms. And from what I know from my colleagues, there were a couple of big attacks right now, especially now with this whole Bitcoin hitting a high price. So people trying to steal Bitcoin wallet credentials.
Wow.
And it was a very sophisticated attack, actually, where the attackers got a clone of a SIM card of the target,
Crazy.
so they could get the two-factor like SMSs.
Hmm.
That's why I don't recommend like having two-factor authentication enabled by SMS, because if you have money, then and you are like say a notable target, then the attacks can get very sophisticated.
Interesting. So SMS spoofing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear about it all the time, but I've never actually heard anyone that it's happened to. Um, you know, I, I, I listen to it, and I follow the advice from a lot of security practitioners, but like I said, I haven't heard of anyone that has actually been a part of that type of attack.
I've like I'm following a couple of my ex-colleagues
Mm.
which open their own cybersecurity companies, and I've seen posts on their blogs and pages about cases that happened recently where there was SMS spoofing involved. But it's a difficult thing to do, so it has to be someone that holds large amount of bitcoins,
Mhm.
or being like, I don't know, a politician which they want to blackmail or something. uh, because like in my case or in someone else's case, which okay, he has like on an average person, it's no sense to invest so much money if that person has $2,000-3,000 in his accounts every
Right.
month.
Yeah.
uh,
They wanna go for the big money.
yeah. uh, One of the other things that I think I do for the last 5 years, I never keep all my savings in an account which has a credit, like a debit card attached, because
Mhm.
in the case of a credit card, okay, the bank is interested to get to get the money back. But in the case that if it's a debit card, uh, from what I've seen, at least in Moldova, the bank will say, okay, we advised you on keeping your pin code safe, your CVV safe, you didn't, you
Respect.
didn't respect that. And I've heard cases where people wrote their pin on the back of the card.
Oh my God. That's just insane. It's like, leaving your front door key on your front doorstep.
Yeah. And I like, because my wife works in banking,
Mhm.
I I hear a lot of crazy stories.
No doubt.
So
No doubt. So, Catalin, I hope that answers your question, and I hope I didn't brutalize your name. So apologies if I did. We have another question. What is the better action to stop it?
stop what?
I think the issue of ransomware, security breaches, whatever the case may be.
I think it will always be a cat and mice game. We like white hackers or cybersecurity experts will try to stop it, and people that want to, let's say, get easy money
Yes.
will always try to, and will always try to, like, uh, find new ways of stealing that money.
Mhm.
So I don't think there will be a stop to it, never. Uh, though from a technical point of view, I have a big respect for the people, on the both sides, and the white hackers, the black hackers. I have respect for them, because even on the black hacker side, there are a lot of smart people. So like, me being a technical person, I respect that. Like, I think personally myself, I was offered to go, let's say, to the dark side a couple of years ago. It was maybe like 10 or 12 years ago, when someone said to me, look, we have people in bars and coffee shops that can make credit card copies, scheme
Right.
them, and we need someone, who will help us on the technical side to get the money. And I said no. And my motto is, I want to have a good sleep. I don't want
Yeah.
some masked guys with machine guns knocking at my door in the middle of the night.
Yeah. You want to be able to
So
sleep good.
yeah.
And that shows a lot of integrity on your part, Traian. So kudos to you for sticking to your values.
Yeah, I was speaking to my wife, I think a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago, and because of the situation of the pandemic, she's working at home,
Mhm.
and her laptop is sitting maybe right next to me. So, and it has access to the main bank network,
Yes.
and it's like very easy to get inside. But uh, first of all, I know that it will affect not only me,
Yeah.
it will affect her. And what does it worth? Okay, you will steal 1 million, but you get caught, you go to jail for 10, 25 years or maybe more.
Mhm.
And then your whole life is
Is ruined.
ruined. Uh, I think one of the first books I read in cybersecurity was by the famous Kevin Mitnick,
Mhm.
and that got me very interested, especially in the social engineering, because actually the most weak link in this is the user, the person. So
Yeah.
if you know how to interact with him, you will get the gates open.
Agreed. Agreed. Now, Traian, we're coming up near the end of the session, so I really wanted to ask you if you could offer one piece of advice to others who are striving to either get into the industry or get a better role in the tech industry, what would that be?
Learn, always learn. It doesn't matter from what area you come. If you have a true interest, then you will get the job, get the better role. Uh, don't be shy to ask your bosses for resources for learning and certification. And as my bosses see that, if sometimes I don't even ask money from the company, I just buy the trainings materials myself. So I invest in yourself. It's not money, like, you don't spend money in vain. It's an investment in yourself, an investment in your future. And be a part of a community. Join, as you said, our great community at Tech Study Slack.
Yes.
People there are always trying to help, trying to support you, and you will succeed.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm going to open up the floor to any more questions that people may have for Traian or for me. In the meantime, what does the future look like for you, Traian?
So I aim at least to get one professional certification from AWS this year.
Okay.
So as I told you, I'm studying for the developer one, associate one. I actually plan to take it by the end of the month, but because I'm going into vacation, I rescheduled it for end of February. And I think by end of May or June, I will take the CSOPS exam, and by end of the year, I'll think I will either go for the solutions architect professional one or the DevOps one.
And how about with regards to your career?
Right now, like, I'm most of I get a lot of offers, but I love my company. I love my colleagues, and I love the stability, because I've seen, especially now with a pandemic, that working in a maybe like, let's say, not a unicorn, but working in a big company actually helped me go through the pandemic without any like financial issues. So I think I'll, at least for the next 5 years, I'll try to grow inside the company, and I'll see after that. It you never know. A lot of things that happen in my life happen like without any warning. So and what I've seen, that the things that happen without any warning, like that happened, like, okay, it happened. These are the most actually the most good things that happened in my life.
Yeah. So you're gonna I guess stick more on the DevOps path?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm going to stick more on the DevOps path. Right now I'm working towards the AWS small like subject matter expert stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe in the next iteration of the cloud practitioner exam, you will see some questions which I wrote.
Very nice.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
And like, I think I'll stick to AWS, although I'll try to get some general knowledge on the other cloud providers out there. So, but I'll definitely take your Google course.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've heard good stuff about it, and actually, wherever I can, I recommend your course, Adrian course, now the Terraform Derek's course,
Yes.
and because actually I see that this is a way of improving the quality of engineers or getting people into engineering. Uh, like I've seen instructors that have courses that, like, for me it looked like, okay, I'm just trying to make a buck for a living, but
Yeah.
it's not into me.
Right. No, I agree.
I like I especially like Adrian way of teaching, for example, is amazing.
Yes.
Derek's way of teaching is amazing, and I think I'll get your course and I will find it also very amazing.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I just had a couple people thanking you. I wanted to thank everyone for joining in today. And Traian, before we go, what's the best way for others to get in touch with you?
So you can contact me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty open on any request of friending me from people. I try to, although I try to a little bit, don't accept the suspicious people, don't accept people with profiles without photos or like that look made 1 or 2 days ago.
Write a connection request note, people.
Yeah, then at least tell from where you heard about me.
Yes.
Also on Tech Study Slack, I pretty much, even if am not very implicated in the public discussions, uh, I respond to everyone who wrote me in private, and I can always give some advice. And that's the most like two ways of connecting with me.
Okay, great. So yeah, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So I wanted to thank you again, Traian, for being here, for being a part of it.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. And I want to thank everyone in the audience for tuning in. And I will see you again back next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. And until then, keep on striving and keep on learning.
Yeah, always learning.
Always learning. Thanks again.
Thank you.